Hi all, and welcome to my video on how to make the Empire State Building. So first of all, I'm just going to quickly search for a reference. This way I can try and accurately model the shape of the Empire State Building. So let me just get up a few images on Google. Empire State Building. Right. Now if I go into images. Right. Okay. I think that's a good image. Okay, lots of detail in this. So let's begin. So I'm gonna start off with a box. I'm not gonna worry about dimensions at the minute, or even at all. I like to do things by phi, which is the 27th letter of the Greek alphabet, and it means 1.68. It's used to measure perception because our bodies aren't symmetrical. Right, so that's our base. It's a bit thick, so I'm just gonna scale it down a bit. Alright, so that's our base. Now we want to extrude up, and to do that I'm going to attach an editable poly. I'm just going to Alt 4 on this screen. Oh, sorry, it's Alt W. There we go. Now, I've converted it to an editable poly. Gonna press 4 on the keyboard and delete this face. Then I'm gonna press 3, select this border, and I'm gonna hold shift and move this up. Not like that though, because that's horrible. Hold shift, make sure you only have up held, and extrude up to about there. If you want to see the faces, press F4. Right. Now I'm gonna do that again. There's about 7 floors on this, so I'm just gonna go up to 7 of these. 3. 4. 5. 6. That's a bit tall. Bring that down. 6. And I'm gonna cap it there. I'm gonna cap it there because, as you could tell from the reference image, it's got like a little hexagonal shape for the top level. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to make another box. Oh, in fact, no. I'm going to go for plain. Before I attach an editable poly to it, I'm going to go down to length 6, change that to 1. Going to press tab and change the width 6 to 1. You don't have to do that, I just think it makes it easier. Now I'm gonna select that, right click, and I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna convert it to an editable poly. Now I'm going to press 1 on my keyboard, and as you can see I've got 4 vertices shown up. I can select them. I'm going to go to chamfer settings, and I'm going to chamfer from here. So yeah. That's on tri chamfer. You don't want tri chamfer, you want quad chamfer. In fact, we do need a box. We need a box because not all of the chamfer settings are available to us with just plain. So we need a box to have all the settings for us. I'm just going to move the box a bit further over so I don't accidentally select any of the building. And I'm going to convert this box to an editable poly. I'm going to press 4 on the keyboard. Select that. Now I'm going to select 2, sorry. I'm going to select the edges. Like so. I'm now going to go to chamfer settings, change it to quad, press the tick, select chamfer, and now I'm going to chamfer in. And that'll make not a very good octagon. Right, let's try this again. With 1 chamfer. It should already be set to quad. Or it shouldn't be set to quad. It don't matter. Oh, you have to press chamfer again. What the hell? Alright, I'm gonna do this again. I've done it before. I don't really know why it's been a dick to me. But I'll try and work this out for you lot at home watching. I think I might delete that shape. What I'm gonna do is press 5. Or select that shape. I'm gonna right click on it. And I'm going to find freeze transforms or freeze selection. And now I can't click on it no matter what. Gonna go back up here and I've still got these two objects in the scene, so I'm gonna delete them. Right, now I'm gonna go up here to plus and I'm going to add a plane. I swear this is how I did it before. Convert to editable poly. I'm gonna press 1 on keyboard, bring up them, yeah. Chamfer settings. Alright, let's try this again. So I'm gonna press Ctrl A, select all of these 4 vertices. You know what that'll do. And I'm gonna press 3 and I'm gonna select this border. Hold shift and I'm gonna extrude it up to about there. And now I'm gonna cap it. In fact, no, I'm not gonna cap it yet. I'm gonna press 3, select border, press R without bringing scale mode. I'm scaling in to about there. Now with the border still selected, I'm gonna press W. I'm gonna move that up to about there. Now I'm gonna press R again. And then I'm not gonna hold shift this time. I'm just gonna scale it in. And now I'm gonna cap. Right now, this shape I've just made is inside out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press 5 on keyboard, select it, and I'm going to find flip, which is there. If I press flip, it'll be turned inside out, which is what I want. Now, I'm gonna select all, press Y, and this will trigger something called fit to shape. Fit to shape just brings the object and puts it on top of the other object, like you can see here. It's still a bit big though, so I'm gonna scale it. And I'm gonna bring it in to about there. Press Y again. Oh, the pivot's off. Move it. I'm gonna press Z to zoom into it. Now I'm gonna press Alt W. I'm gonna find the viewport, the top down viewport. Gonna go to pivot and I'm going to affect pivot only. That seems alright. But it's under the actual shape. So I'm gonna... what's going on? Control C. Have I got snapping on? I didn't have snapping on, so I'll turn snapping off again. And I want my pivot to be about there, and it's still not centralized, so I'll move it to be more centralized, like so. That should be good. So I'm gonna press that again to turn it off. Go back to modify. So now if I press Y and fit it to shape, not like that though, because I've pressed Y too many times and I've rotated it. That's on move. So for some reason that's gone weird. So just need to go to Effect Pivot Only again. And I'm going to rotate the pivot. Really, this whole bit is just going to be a bit of experimentation. You need to find the correct pivot for you. Now if I press Y, it goes upside down where I want it. No, don't. Yeah, it does. Right, so we're going to go back to Effect Pivot Only. And I'm going to try this now. You know what? I'm going to do this manually. I wouldn't normally advise you to do this manually because you can be very inaccurate sometimes, but sometimes it just annoys you so much that you want to do it manually. I'm just gonna shrink that down a bit more. And put that there. Right. Now I just need to move it up a bit. To about oh gee, that's not straight. See what I mean about doing it manually? It's not very accurate. See, normally you wouldn't have a problem with all of this because you just make the objects separately and put them into Unreal. I think that's even. Yeah, that looks even. So I'm gonna press W. I'm gonna hold Alt, hold in the middle mouse. Still not straight. So I need to change it again. Right. That should be on top of the shape now. And I'm going to unfreeze all. I'm gonna select this shape and I'm going to go to modify, attach, and I'm gonna select this. And now that's all one object. And now I'm going to add unwrap UVW. And now if I select the open the UV editor, I'll get this box up here. Just gonna stretch that out a bit more so I can see the whole thing. And that's my object UV. Now I'm gonna go to flatten by polygon angle. or I'm not. I'm gonna control all with the 3ds Max program selected, and now I'm gonna flatten by polygon angle, and I should have the whole texture now. So now to sort this out, which should be fun. So you're gonna want to exit out of Unwrap UVW. You're gonna want to come back to this. Alt W on the perspective viewport. And now for the fun bit of adding seams. This is going to be fun. So you're gonna want to come over to here. You're gonna scroll down until you find add seams, which is just here. Now this one will allow you to add one seam at a time. I don't really like using that one, but you can if you want. This will allow you to select all the boxes inside some seams, and that is useful, but we're going to be focusing on this one. This allows you to select seam, in fact, it's already seamed up for me. 3ds Max would put its own seams on the shape for you. I don't really like how it does that, so what you can do is hold Alt if you hold Alt and then click on a certain seam, it will get rid of it. Like that. As you can see, when I select it goes blue, but when I hold Alt and click, it goes. So anyway, I might as well just get right back down to unwrapping it, or sorting out the UV. So, as I said before, I'm gonna go to Unwrap UV Editor. I'm just gonna go around this, make sure draw selected, because this is going to be glass. So I'm gonna select all of them. And I'm going to move them on here. For some reason they're all in together like this. I'm you're gonna want to scale it down and move it up to the other. Not like that because I've left one behind. Now if I look at this, I've got boxes here which I'm going to fill up with my window. I can select all of that. I'm going to press W to move it to here. And now I'm going to want these. These are going to be brick, but they're also going to have windows all around them. So I'm going to bring them here. And I'm going to scale them down. And you know what? I'm going to rotate them as well. And I'm going to place them here. Now the rest of it can just be brick, because they're not going to be the most visible thing. So I figure I might as well make them brick just to save on time. So we're going to right click on any blank space in here. It can be this bit, it can be this bit, anywhere that's blank. And we're going to go to render UVW template. Now here, I recommend that you have 1024 by 124 in the width and height. You want to ignore the rest until you come down here to render output. This is where you're going to be saving the image. So I'm going to save this image to I made a folder for this. Where is it? Empire State. As you can see, I already have the brick texture that I made earlier, and I have a window texture. Now, under formats, you can use whatever you like, but the file format that I like to use is PNG. This stands for Portable Network Graphic. And I'm gonna save this as Empire underscore UV. And I'm gonna press enter, come up here, there'll be another box, just press OK. you want to render the UV template. That all looks good. So I'm going to exit out of that and exit out of that. Now I want to open Photoshop. I'm going to go to open, and I want to open my UV, which was in Empire State. And there's our UV, and open it. This may take a minute or two, so just leave it and it will open. Might take over a minute. I could have made a cup of tea in the time it took me to wait for this. Always loading. And we're on the go. Right, so now you're going to want to add a new layer. Layer 1. If you want to, you can rename this. I'm going to call it UV. Layer 2, I'm going to rename it to black. And I'm going to move black to behind UV. And obviously I'm going to fill in black with my fill tool. Yeah, that's set to black, so I'm going to fill it. And now I'm going to select the move tool because I'm done with colour. So I'm going to go to my Windows settings and I'm going to type in file. Now I'm going to get my window texture and I'm going to drag it in. Give it a minute to load up. These things take time. Excruciating time. Right, it's in. Now I'm going to minimize. I'm going to make that smaller. About that big. And I'm going to move it. Although that's still quite big, so no, it will do. I'm gonna want to just keep on putting them next to each other. To make a good Empire State Building. It's not gonna be so good because there's a lot of detail I've missed out. But if you make it too important to a game, then it's likely that you're not gonna need all that detail. Because players are just gonna run straight past the building. As long as the top of the as long as some parts of the building are a little bit detailed, it won't matter. Now if I go to my layers, I can select all the window layers. Now I'm going to right click on them and I'm going to merge them. This will make just one big strip of windows. And I'm going to press Ctrl, C and V. Now I'll have enough for the whole thing. Alright, and now I need my windows back. I want to make these windows extra small because the UV up here is extra small, so I kinda need them to match. I need that to be rotated about that much. Press enter. Still not good, so I'll rotate them again. And that'll do. Once again, I don't need these to be perfect, so it should be alright. And because it doesn't need to be perfect, for this last one, I'm just going to make it that big. And the rest of it will be brick. So what I'm going to do is go to File Explorer. I'm going to drag in my brick texture. I'm going to move out the size of the whole thing. Now I'm going to press enter. And what I want to do is go to brick. We'll select all these windows first because this is annoying me. Merge layers. I'm going to move brick down to the bottom. This way all windows will appear on top of it. I'm going to delete black and I'm going to delete my UV. And now I've got a somewhat usable Empire State Building texture. It's not perfect because I'm pretty sure the Empire State doesn't look like this, but it's good enough for a game. So now I'm going to save this on the computer, obviously. I'm going to go up to where I saved my Empire State stuff. And now I'm going to change this from Empire UV to Empire Texture. And I'm going to change the file format to PNG. Press OK on this. And now you should have your PNG saved. Now all that's left to do is to apply the texture onto the 3D model. The texture should be on this, on File Explorer already. So I'm just going to select it and drag it in. And there is my Empire State Building, which looks amazing. To finish it, I'm just going to right click on it, convert to editable poly, that'll be done. Now, the Empire State Building had less officers in it, so it didn't look as formal, but I don't know what legal protections the Empire State Building has. Therefore, I decided to make this a little bit different. but I don't know, it kind of looks like quite a good building. It's not AAA game quality, but it's good enough for an indie game. So, anyway, that's all for this video, and thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and leave a comment.